something, or are we just live? Do we get a countdown, bro, or are we good?
Wow. What's going on here? It's not playing.
Yeah, that's G. We go. All right. We all good there, fanatics? We're up and running. He's looking intent.
I think we're live.
We're going to start the opening just till this.
Yep.
Up the wires, boys. All righty, let's get it underway. Hey, welcome everyone. I hope we got a few people piling in there. Thought this would be a great chance. The boys doing so well. They're up against the Knights to get some of the passionate Warriors creators here together, share our thoughts and have a bit of a yarn on how we thought we went on the weekend against the Knights, and have a bit of a look towards the Broncos. Like, some pretty amazing mind power when it comes to the footy here tonight. So first up, I want to thank Fanatics for hosting us here. He's one of the OGs and he's probably got the most followers, so chance for us to ride on his coattails there and hope to get a few extras there. Then we've got the other OG there and Hold the Ball, ripping wild there from North Shore, now over in Aussie. We've got not Ash Taylor, as falsely advertised on my review last night. We've got the man Ash Thomas, and we've got Waz Up, the king of analysis, looking to be recruited by Webby next year as part of the assistant coaching team, and myself, Warriorholic. So if you haven't followed anyone on this magical chat or live, feel free to jump on there, give them a like and a love. We all do this for love. No one's making any money. Like I said, it's the reason I got into it is because I didn't really have anyone to talk to about the Warriors over those dark days. So I thought I'd give it a go. And it's been pretty amazing to connect with guys like these four men here who spend hours creating content for you guys. So I hope you enjoy this. So get everyone to just give a quick g'day, starting from the man Hold the Ball there.
Yeah, that's it again, lads. Thank you again for everyone for jumping in. And look, my name is Hold the Ball, and I'm looking forward to the festivities that's going to be happening, unfolding as we sort of speak. But again, lads, I'm looking forward to tonight.
Cheers, bro. Fanatics, how you going there, bro?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's great to get you guys on my channel, and it's going to be a great show. So hope you guys are doing well yourselves, and looking forward to tonight actually. So it should be good. It's great to have you guys here, and looking forward to it.
Cheers, my man. And then we've got Big Ash down there. Oh, he's in my bottom left, so I'm guessing he's in everyone's left. Welcome on, brother. Nice to finally connect with you as well.
Shot my bar. It's good to finally connect with all you boys. This is my first time on Fanatics channel. I really do appreciate having you on, having us on your channel, my bro, and all that. And what a year to be a Warriors fan and all that, eh, boys? It's just mental to, throughout our whole little content journeys, everyone's got different ways and that. But this year's been a great year for all of us, and I know that speaking to each one of you guys, pretty mental. But I appreciate every single one of you guys, though.
Cheers, bro. And the analysis king, Mr. Waz Up.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Special shout out to Fanatics for allowing us to use this platform, and shout out to Hold the Ball as well, putting me on first time. And so it's just an honor to share the stage with these wonderful gentlemen, Ash and Warriorholic. Again, same thing for me, being a part of a community of Warriors fans and supporting each other is what I'm all about. So thanks guys, enjoying it.
Yeah, mate. Waz Up and I had the opportunity to hit up there on the weekend there, and it was great. We caught up with Brad Ringer, who does a bit of writing. He gets on a few of the podcasts, Warriors Fans TV. Rao and Nick and Chris is the other guy, yeah.
Yep.
And who else was there? Daniel from Warriors Anonymous. It was just awesome, mate, just to see everyone there. We had Jason Paris come in and shout the boys around the beers and stuff. So it's good to see even the big fella there appreciate us all. So let's get straight into it. I can see things like the boys having a bit of a bounce off each other, and this could go long. I should have prepared a Red Bull, but I want to start off by getting you guys just like a quick take on your experience on the weekend and what you took away from the game, and then we'll sort of get into a little bit more detail about how the Knights and the Warriors went. But how about a quick take from you? Hold the ball.
Yeah, look, I think it was a game that we needed in terms of answering the critics, right? Obviously, the week prior we had the Panthers and things didn't go too well, and I suppose before that too, we've had people questioning why we sort of in slugfest with teams that are way lower, beneath us. So I think this was a game here that we needed to win and show others that we're in the fight here. And look, overall, it was a good game to watch. Everything was virtually in sync. Couldn't be prouder. So that's probably my take on it.
Cheers, bro. How about you, Fanatics? How was it for you over there on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, from my point of view, I thought it was a great performance by the lads because there was always a bit of whether the pressure would get to the Warriors playing at home, and obviously being a big occasion, the Sunday semi-finals. So yeah, I was overly impressed with how we played the game, and I just felt like the Knights just didn't really challenge the Warriors. In particular, I just felt like we were in control of the game. I just thought it was a great performance overall. I was very happy with it. There was a lot of standout plays as well, which we'll probably get into. But yeah, I was very impressed with the way we played, and thought it was a very complete performance in the finals game, especially. So the scoreline showed it too.
Cheers, mate. I might get you to bang your mic level just down a little bit there. I think it might be you one doing a bit of popping there, bro. Ash, how about you, my man? Whereabouts are you, by the way?
Me, I'm from Brizzy, my bra. So yeah, over in Brizzy, one of those Aussie-based fans as well, full Aussie boy. But yeah, no, I honestly thought like a really good game. As Hold the Ball did say, to answer all the critics and stuff online, I pretty much said it in my video after my little review on that. So you just see the comments online, questioning, our top 4 spot, questioning, our run into the finals, whether we are up to it and this and that. We needed a game 40-10. We needed a dominant victory to actually get, a little bit more confidence back in the boys and confidence in our team this year. As I said in multiple other videos, this has been a successful year, but this kind of just like ticks it off as well. So hopefully, with the confidence going into the Broncos game now, knowing how to play a team that's, a little bit step ahead, a couple other teams that we've been versing pretty earlier on in the year. And obviously with the little touch up from the Panthers, hopefully we can rewrite those wrongs and beat a top-notch team like the Broncos, get to a GF.
Shut, bro. Hey, Fanatics, you just try chuck it on mute for a second. I think it's definitely yours clicking
sorry.
there. Yep. Yeah, that's heaps better. How about you, my man? What's up?
Sorry, my bad.
We don't want everyone jumping off, bro. We've got thousands of fans here, ready to.
No. Shout out to everyone. Sorry about that. It was like feeding off of Hold the Ball, Ash and Fanatics. I think Webby said, they didn't want to go into the finals and a 2-and-out team. People were saying, we might be like Cronulla last year and all that type of stuff. And I think it was just great to see us get a finals win. I think for a lot of us, that solidified us as a legit top 4 team. I'm happily resting on that we were legit or are legit. And then the fashion in which we did it, I was a bit harsh on the boys. I said, that maybe that we'd reached our peak and there wasn't much more we could find after that Panthers game. But I was so happy to see that the boys got back into their processes. I know they all talked about that. And just to see the way Sean moved everyone around and the attack and the defense, resilience, everything. And being there with you, Warriorholic, bro, it was just one of the best experiences. So, no, very happy. And the boys want more. And that's what we want. So, no, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, mate, I got to be honest. Like I had this really weird feeling before the week before. I was so amped I couldn't even stay home and watch it. Like I never go to the pub and watch the game of footy, but I was so wired I couldn't stay home. But I was so apprehensive about SJ because were they foxing and the calf? You can't play on half a calf. Like you can needle pretty much anything other than a calf or a hammy or whatever. But that first 12 minutes just flashed by. You just saw the way he was charging around. So it was just like you sit back and absorb it. It was just like I don't know, this big thing of warmth came through me, and just the crowd started going and never stopped. And for me, I think that'll be the biggest takeaway that I'll never forget. It's just that energy of being in that crowd that I've never been in anything like it. I've been in 75,000 people at a Rugby World Cup semi-final, and it was just nothing. So, mate, I tell you, let's take a little bit of a. I don't want to get straight into the Warriors because we'll never stop talking. It'd be good to acknowledge the Knights because, you know, I think it was such a great story for both clubs, you know, for them to come back from Adam O'Brien being close to being, you know, kicked out, you know, talking to guys behind his back, Ponga with his head knocks, for them to have that 10-game run in there. It'd be great to sort of have a bit of an acknowledgement about what you guys thought of their play there. Might start out with you, Fanatics, give you a chance to chuck the mic on.
Yep. So you just want my thoughts on
the Knights, bro?
On the Knights? Oh, yep. So, yeah, the Knights, look, I mean, I felt like, you know, going into this game, I just felt like the extra time, they played an extra time against the Raiders, and I felt like that may play a part in this game, and it looked like it did in that second half because, you know, they looked very fatigued and tired. I personally feel that way because, you know, the Warriors were just applying plenty of pressure on the Knights, and just the Knights just couldn't keep with the Warriors. And even though they scored that try before half time, they got to 16-6. I just felt like the Knights weren't really going to trouble the Warriors in that second half. I just felt like the fatigue got the Knights in that second half. I feel like that extra time must have, you know, got to them, and being that they had to take a flight up from New Zealand as well. So, you know, I just feel like the fatigue got to them a bit.
Cheers, bro. How about you, Ash?
Yeah, bro. So I'm actually pretty proud of the Knights this season. Obviously, with all the stuff that they've been going through the last couple of years, obviously been a very disappointing team to, like, you know, you're seeing them on paper. Usually when I start the season, you look at every team on paper. A lot of it, you know, the Doggies were it this year, the Tigers were it this year, multiple teams. You look at the teams on the paper and you go, like, on paper, they should be fighting for that top 8 spot, but you just know that the Knights the last couple of years, they've fallen away. And even at the start of this year, you looked at exactly the same way. You know, they were playing Ponga at 6 and they were trying to figure things out with combinations, and it wasn't really working. I actually love the Jackson Hastings move. I'm a massive fan of Jacko because from what he did at the Tigers, you just saw a half that looks like he wants to play for every minute for his team. And it really started to change the Knights season around a little bit, where they started switching the positions back. Tyson Gamble found his way back into the team, brought a little bit of grit and determination. Yeah, Ponga go back to fullback, his preferred position, and they just went on a massive run. And, you know, coming into the finals to go 10 straight, obviously beating the Raiders, and then coming up against us, down a halfback, down a second rower. Not to take anything away from our boys and what we've done out there, but all courage and determination from the Knights fans. And all Knights fans should be out there and be proud of their team because from the position they were earlier on this year to get where they are, like, you know, at the end of this year now, just absolutely mental achievement for them. And I saw a comment section in my comment section or whatever. Someone said something about like the Knights should blow it up and all that sort of stuff. I was like, you shouldn't be taking that sort of view as a Knights fan. And that this year, I honestly feel like you take it as a success. You've seen the building blocks of what you got as a team. A couple of UK boys are coming over to use next year that look like a whole lot of potential. Obviously losing Dommy Young really sucks, but man, just so much potential with that side. And now you see the fans come back to the stadium and all that. It's a lot of what's going on with the Warriors at the moment. Hopefully Newcastle are going through that same sort of thing, because I'd love to, you know, to change up the competition a little bit more than those like typical top 8 teams that usually are there. Obviously this year is starting to be like that. Hopefully it continues on and makes this competition really tight.
Awesome, my man. Yep, totally agree. Buzz up. What's your take, bro?
Yeah, no, shout out to the Knights. They're a similar side to us in terms of, you know, location, being in a regional area, and then also, you know, for them as a casual fan, seeing that game against Canberra, to see that crowd, that for them, you know, in a different way, you know, but same energy, same passion, same love. In fact, you know, I feel like the Knights are a really good club. I think we bumped into a few people at the game, a few Knights fans. All love, you know, good people that love their footy, and you know, I just really respect them as a club. really respect their coach who was in the firing line and he held tight, and his players got behind him. And look, they're going to be a great club in the future years. They're building something well there. Yeah, they're losing a few, Dom Young, but they've got a good forward pack to build around, and hopefully they continue to ascend, because we need more regional teams to make it into the finals. You know, we need more clubs outside of Sydney to continue to grow, because it's growing the game. And as you can see, they had 30,000 or close to, and you know, similar thing for us. You know, their team means so much to them, and they just want to be successful, just like us. So now, shout out to the Knights. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. Hold the ball.
Yeah, look, I think I'll just bounce off the two, you know, everyone there, but just quickly, I really appreciate the coach, as Wise Up sort of touched on, obviously under the, you know, in the firing line, so to speak, and he actually stood up and obviously went on that 10-game run streak, which was really good to see. Again, I really appreciate the Knights as well, the players as well getting together. Kalen Ponga as well. Obviously, he's always he's a very loved or hate type of player, and I really appreciate how he sort of stood up this year. And on top of it as well, again, similar to us, right, as Warriors fans, the Knights fans as well, their loyalty, their dedication, and yeah, sort of touching on what Wise Up said as well. You know, being a regional team and obviously their fans too, it was actually really good for them to you know, sort of spring up the way they did this year. Unfortunately, though, for them losing to us, but in saying that, though, nonetheless, a good season for them, and hopefully something they can capitalize on next year. Just not against us, though.
Totally. A couple of things, like for me, I think it is very similar to us. I love the fact that their fans are really passionate. They've been through ups and downs. They've had that sort of the final there. They had that Johns period. But as a Warriors fans, you do feel, I mean, I even felt for the Broncos a couple of years ago when they get nailed for their fans, right? Because you ride it so hard, and that's all they've got there. One thing I see as a challenge for them going forward is the management of their club. By the sounds of it, you know, you've got guys who are not footy smart, and what I like for us is that Robbo's pretty much empowered Cam to run the show. He's empowered Webby and Cappy to run the football and let people with the right brains do the right jobs. And I'm not sure if they've quite got that that leadership right there at the Knights yet. I hope they do get it right, because it's, you know, it's pretty sad when it gets out into the public that your CEO's out there trying to, you know, get another coach right as you're starting to turn things around. And for me, I thought a highlight was Felix. Was it Felix Crossland?
Phoenix, yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah, I had no idea who the hell he was when I did my first review. The guy's really come along, and you know, hopefully we can get him involved in the Kiwis if he considers himself a Kiwi after being there since he was 4. But just quickly on Fanatic's point about fatigue, I think there's 2 points to that. As one, the Raiders game was combative, but the Raiders, with all due respect, their attack has been mud. They don't have those the real game playing, ball playing halves. They don't have a really attacking fullback, so they weren't really challenged. And I think when we clicked, that's kind of what put them on the back foot. And if you look at the numbers, the forwards went great, but their backs, their running meters were as big as any other week. It was there. They didn't get the tackle breaks and they didn't get the line breaks because we covered it up. So I think fatigue played a bit of factor in it, but I think it was just the way the Warriors played that probably didn't allow them to play to their game plan. But I agree with you all. Like, congratulations to them. We went up and shook a bunch of their fans' hands because they came all the way over, and I hope they went away and had a good weekend out of it.
Yeah.
Right. On to the good stuff now. What really stood out to all you guys is something that, from the Warriors, as far as they delivered, that made you the happiest, or the point that we could get the most excited about. I'll start with you this time, Ash.
Yeah, bro. The big thing that really stood out to me, and I don't know about all you guys, but it was the cohesion back in the team. Obviously, off the Panthers game, SJ missing was a big out, in my opinion. As everyone's saying online, one player doesn't change a whole team, but it does change a whole lot to our systems and our cohesion within our team. After the Panthers weekend, you had Tamari Martin go to the opposite side to what he's been playing earlier on this year, what he's been training. We had Dylan Walker come in and try to fill in a spot, as he's done a couple of times this year at that 6 role. It just doesn't really suit in that position. So with SJ coming back, you start to see a both those boys connect on a little bit more plays. You saw our plays look a little bit more crispier. Chance got a little bit better opportunities out the back. A whole lot of things definitely came together a lot better due to obviously SJ coming back into that lineup. And just that was the big thing, the big sticking point for me. That and also our edge defense looked a lot better, especially against a player like KP. And I think that ties into a little bit of what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on with the Broncos chat. We need to defend that very, very similarly with someone like a Reece Walsh. I know people will probably argue that KP and Reece maybe aren't exactly the same players. Reece's a lot more explosive in moments, and KP maybe has a little bit more tackle breakability on the edge sometimes and that. But both of them are top-notch fullbacks in this league that create so much for their outside man. And for us to stand up the way they did, Rocco Berry, Adam Pompey, all our edge boys and all that sort of stuff, that was a big, that's what really stood out for me with the Warriors' performance over the weekend.
Awesome, man. Why is that? I kind of want an added question in amongst this before you give you completely your take. Is did you notice anything about how we actually did lock Ponga down when you went back and did your review?
I think honestly, I feel like a little bit was Ponga was just. I do feel the fatigue going back to Fanatic's point kicked in. I don't feel like the edges were on point. There were some periods where they were on our goal line and they didn't nail it. They could have exploited Montoya a little bit. They could have exploited Pompey a little bit. But mainly I credit our guys for doing such a good job. It's just that it felt as though they had run their course and energy-wise, they didn't make the right decisions at the right times. So I think that's part of it. But at the same time, I just give credit to our centers. I mean, we'll get into that later, but they were a massive part of everything. It was a great game for them to shine. But I think overall, the edge defense limited his space. And so I think that's where we kind of just closed those gaps up. And sometimes when he was getting the ball, it wasn't, he was getting a ball with a lot of time. So our guys were able to slide and move on to him and shut down a lot of his space. So, as opposed to you look at Sean on the other side going right into the line, lead runners going right through at the perfect time and then creating the space with a really fast C&K coming through. So a little bit of energy, I think, that they were missing, but still our guys really on point. Yeah.
Awesome take, bro. How about you, Fanatics? What was your big sort of great takeaway moment there from the Warriors that we did well?
Look, for me, I'd probably say our outside backs. Yeah, I mean, there's been always a bit of concern and talks around our outside backs and their defense on the left edge here. The likes of Pompey and Berry, I thought were outstanding there. They did a great job marking up against the likes of Best, Ponga, Marju. Although Marju scored one try, but that's pretty much what he did in the game, I thought. But yeah, I think it's just their outside backs. I feel like outside backs because there's always a bit of talk around their defense, especially with our centers and wingers, especially. So yeah, I'll probably say I've been impressed by their performance and just the way they defended against the likes of the Pongas and Marjus and all those players as well. Just the Knights back five has been a big talking point going into this game, and we defended that very well. Yeah, so they definitely have to be the outside backs. I just felt like they really stepped up. The likes of Berry and Pompey especially, and Montoya had his best game that I thought he had for the whole season. Actually, I thought it was one of his best games he's ever played in a while. So yeah, it's definitely, I got to say, our outside backs for me, just the way they defended, especially.
I see Tanya there. I actually caught a bit of her on Warriors Fans TV there this evening, mentioning how she'd been a little bit frustrated with the left edge there last week and sort of saying it was great to see them turn around. I have to agree with her. Great spotting there, particularly with Montoya there, 7 from 7, 100% tackle efficiency. How good. Hold the ball. How about you, brother?
Yeah, look, I think all of you guys have sort of answered like every point I thought about. So I'm just going to sort of just say I really appreciate like the likes of Jackson Ford, right? The week prior, probably a game to forget. This week against the Knights, he was arguably one of the best there again. So yeah, I really appreciate how some players obviously understood the task at hand, and stood up to the challenge. And it was sort of a ripple effect, if you will. It was really good to see the other players sort of bounce off that positive vibe there that the players were giving. So that's probably my take of it. Just knowing that the lads stood up, and we know they're going to stand up again. That's for sure.
Cheers, man. Hey, Keith, good to see you on here, brother. He gets a bit of banter going there on Twitter quite a bit. For me, I think it was, I felt like we were in control. Like that fast start of something when we were playing well, we did well. They came back and they had most of the ball. Like it felt like they had, momentum for the second 20 minutes of the first half and the first 10 minutes of the second half. But we didn't look panicked at any stage. I never felt like they were actually going to get on top of us. We stuck to our processes. And then in the second half, the way they controlled the game, it's been the first time in a long time that we stuck to kicking to that right-hand corner. Like almost every kick in that second half was down into that right-hand corner. We just nailed them 2 meters off their line, and they had to work it out. And that's when we were really able to put in the effort. And I found over the past few weeks, we've been a bit random with our kicking. Obviously, with SJ not there last week, it was an anomaly. But I think that's something we're going to really have to focus on this week is to get that ball, like particularly for the likes of Cobbo and Reece Walsh, get them jammed in the corner rather than kicking down the middle. So lot to like. Who are your standout 3 players, guys? Really hard. I'm glad we didn't have the YRMs this week because I think I would have had a lot of people coming back and saying the whole team.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Yeah, bro. What's up? We'll let you kick off with the top 3 for you.
Yeah, tough one. Far out. I'll probably just look. I'll go. I'll maybe go. Maybe not the obvious ones, but no, they might be the obvious ones. I think Tohu. Firstly, for me, Tohu was everywhere in everything, attack wise. The connection between him, Sean, and Egan is just beautiful to watch when you see them going, and the way they attack and the way they operate when they're all in sync and they know what part of the field to hit. And we were there watching it, Warriorholic, and just seeing how you can see all the organizing pieces behind the scenes that you might not see on TV. And I just thought he had a massive game. Got the balance right. I know in the presser he talked about balance. They got the right aggression. You know what I mean? I think that's probably been a part of the last 5 weeks where if you're talking about like a level playing or level emotions, they've dipped and sometimes they've gone a bit over the top, and sometimes they got the balance right. I think through pretty much the whole game, they attack with intent. And I think as a captain, you got to say, he's going to lead from the front and make sure that the guys stay leveled headed. And I think he did a really good job there. Second would probably be for SJ. I know he'd probably be first, but just to see him come back insane. And I'll leave a lot of that to you guys if you guys bring it up. But I just want to go quickly just to the centers. Pompey probably. I put Pompey and Berry very close, but Pompey for me, those 5 goals, was it 6 goals? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
And I was watching them on the replay, and some of them were dead set from the sideline and like hitting right between, like in the middle of the posts. Man, it was insane.
Mental.
The first one he missed, I was like, oh no, we're in for a bit of a night here. but then he got every other one, man, and I was like, this guy is he's an asset. I know there's going to be talk about RTS and all that next year, but if you do have a Sean go down, and if you got Adam Pompey there that can kick some goals, adds to his value, right? So there's going to be some tough questions next year. And then on the other side, Berry, for me, just insane work rate. That try, I thought, validated his work that he's been doing all year. His defensive reads, I think he had best, didn't he? Yeah, and just shut him down. Nothing happened on that edge. And he's been doing that to a lot of people. You could probably say that to even Crichton to an extent, even though in a losing team. So he's very good at his assignments. But that's my top 3 anyway, guys.
Just a quick note there, a comment about Cobbo and his speed, that we don't really have anyone to match him. And I tend to agree it's something we lack, that absolute blistering speed. But they had some quick guys there for the Knights, and I think it's all about you get your systems right and those guys don't get too much open space. So, yeah, good comment though. Thanks. Hold the ball. Your 3.
Yep. I touched on it beforehand, but I think for mine, Jackson Ford, Ford was probably my number 1 there again.
just stepping up from last week. Number 2 for mine, I reckon, was I really appreciate Tor Harris again. It's a bit cliche, but I want to go there. I just really appreciate his work rate, and this has come from someone who last year in the season, or I think even the year prior, said he shouldn't be the captain of the Warriors. So it is what it is, guys. You know, we all make mistakes. And yeah, again,
Hey, that's a
that's an edit from all Blake shrug. Yeah, that's right. And he's been sensational, and again in that game there. And I guess for me, another one more bit out of probably a bit out of the box there, but Bailey Sirenen, probably arguably his best game for us, I reckon. And again, scoring that try there was just the icing on the cake. And we all know the context surrounding him, unfortunately. So again, just to see him stand up in that moment there was beautiful to see. So those are my top 3.
Yeah, Sirenen's an interesting one for me that I've always liked him because I was a big fan of his dad going back in the day. And I just felt like sometimes at the start of the year, you didn't feel that impact when he came on the field. And, you know, I thought he got that pass really improved throughout the year when he came on at hooker. He struggled a bit against the Tigers, but then he moved to the middle. And I think since he moved to that, coming on into that middle role, he's been outstanding. And I think he gained confidence from that to the point that when he jumped into dummy half, it was seamless. And to see that, the confidence to take that try. So, yeah, good call on Ciro there. And it's a real shame to see him go. You know, I hope an NRL club picks him up because I think he's a tide riser for a club like for the Dragons coming out of our system. So, yeah, all the best to him. Sad to see him go. Fanatics, who you got there, bro, for your 3?
So my 3 it was tough, obviously. You know, there's so many standout players. And
hey, just on that, sorry to interrupt you, my man.
Yep, that's right.
Someone said, why we only got 3 time, guys? We've got 5 of us. I think we'd all have to name all 17.
Yeah.
Got to put a pressure onto the boys. Sorry, man, to interrupt.
Yeah, it was all good. It was tough to pick a 3, but I've got Tohu Harris for me and my 1. Rocco Berry, I've sure Rocco Berry in there. I thought he had a great performance. And me and Hold the Ball, massive Rocco Berry fans. So yeah,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
Yeah. Chance New Klugstad, actually, C&K. I've got to put him in there. So that's my top 3. But you know, a lot of players could have made that list, but yeah, those were the 3 that I went with.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Hey, I just see a comment there about Ciro falling off tackles. Look, I think that was something I accused him of going back about 5 weeks, but his tackle efficiency is right up into the 90s over the past couple of weeks, so he's definitely been working on that. Ash, what do you got, my man?
Yeah, bro, just running straight off the back of Fanatics there. So number 1, Tohu Harris, our leader. Can you believe he wound back the clock in that game with massive line break, you know, strapped up knees and all, and nearly falling apart, and just amazing, man. Like the workhorse, he's just so incredible. We saw the turn of him, you know, in that Titans game when he was scoring tries for us. I was like, man, you turned back the clock in the perfect time for us, eh? Like, just our leader, bro. And that's could never repay him enough. Number 2, I had Chance Nickel-Klokstad. I thought Chancey was absolutely amazing. He was everywhere, 299 meters, about 30 runs in that game. Just incredible. Like,
35,
he was doing as much.
Bro.
Oh, bro, he was doing everything he could for the boys out there. And obviously with Shawnee come back with the calf injury and that, we needed someone else to step up on that edge as well and take a lot of the run meters and stuff off him. And even though Shawnee took a couple of like right foot steps to try to extend the play in moments and that, Chancey was just helping him out in every single moment off the back set plays and all that sort of stuff. And Rocco Berry is the same one. And NRL Fanatics, you knocked it out of the park with me, man. Like, they're my 3. Obviously, there's so many more. Like, I thought all of them had amazing games. Adam Fanor Blake is another one we could talk about and all that. But Rocco Berry, for what he's done this season, how far he's grown to what a player he is now. One thing I love about Rocco Berry, and I think everyone sees it, but it's kind of like one of the most underrated parts in football, and that is his kick chase every time you watch him play live and that, he's always the first one on that kick chase. You always call out his name, whether he's going to try to catch the ball out of the air or he's going to make that first tackle on the player there. And I just noticed over the weekend, it happens every week with Rocco, and he's grown so far. And to score that try too, like the strength it actually takes to actually hold that ball up in that moment, even in slow-mo, like it felt like that took forever. The ball didn't even touch the ground. Like that's absolutely incredible, especially when you're going up against an Origin center at the moment with Bradman Burst. Like, just praise to him. And especially, it may not be a question in this stream, but it will be a question maybe in future streams or future like talking points when RTS does come to the club. We got a massive discussion there, boys, because, Pompey played amazing as well. And it's someone that always gets a lot of scrutiny in that. But both our boys are standing up. And then you look at our New South Wales Cup team that has been playing amazing this year. We got a whole lot of talent that's coming through at the moment. Obviously, amazing. But they're my three: Tohu, Rocco, and Chancey. I thought they were awesome.
Hey, thanks for all the comments, guys. Quick note: I'm dyslexic, so I'm pretty.
Shout out to the comment section. It's lit tonight.
And I'd love to get through them. I'll try and comment as we go a little bit, but obviously with 5 people on here, we've got to give the boys a bit of chance to chat there, so we might be able to not get to all of them, but we do really appreciate it, guys. I changed mine a bunch of times listening to you all. That I'm going to give my first one to SJ. That game didn't happen without him. Like, for him to the mental strength when you're just waiting for that calf to go. I've done a hammy, and that feeling, it literally felt like someone stabbed me in the back of the leg. Yeah. And the anticipation of that happening again, but to just go. And just be so seamless at everything he did, so concise. So I've got to give it to him because he hasn't had much love left, but I'm sure everyone's just trying to spread it all. I'm going to give another one to Adam Pompey purely for the fact that I wasn't the hugest fan, but when I started this thing at the beginning of this year, I told myself I'm going to really try and look and see what it is that these guys do that I wouldn't normally see as the passionate fan when you only watch it once. Yeah. And Adam hasn't really been done by anyone this year that you could, granted he didn't have the best game against the Panthers, but I think a lot of that comes down to the guys inside him went up to it. He's dominated some of the best centers in the game to kick those kicks from the sideline from the wrong side, all with these toxic comments that he's had, like literally on Facebook. It's fine to bag, but some of them, they were just so abusive. And I sent him a text or DM on Insta, like he doesn't really reply, but he'll just say, cheers, bro. But I just said to him, man, I hope you appreciate that there are fans out here who have seen every little step of your progression this year. Every game you've got better, and particularly over the past 5 games, better. I said, we got you, bro. And he's just like, thanks. And I hope he, that sort of helps him because he's just kept his head up. And he's gone through it. And I asked Chance about him when I did that interview. And he said, look, these people have no idea what he's been asked to do. Same with Bunty, that we don't know. Even we look at the game deeper than a lot of people. We don't know what they've been asked to do. Like Rocco's another one I'm going to mention. When I first saw him came into grade, my first thought was, that's Conrad Smith. Like he is a young Conrad Smith. He's not the biggest guy, but his little fundamental subtleties. You watch him, the way he changes the angle of how he's running when the guy inside him gets the ball to create the space for the guy outside him. His ability to get that ball to Dallin, get back in the right position to take it, twist through that, his ability to turn and take a tackler after he's beaten. People just don't appreciate the fundamental skills that boy's got. And it's easy to love Ali Latoa, like when you see him dominating Cup, and he's going to be another outstanding player. So 4 guys to choose from. But I think I asked a mate of mine who works he's one of the coaches for the Highlanders. I said, what would Rocco do if he went back to rugby? He said he'd be in the All Blacks within a year. Yeah. He's that good. So they're my 3, SJ, Adam Pompey, but shout out to guys like Ford, Tohu, everyone. AFB, it was great to see that he only played 42 minutes to backload in. Egan, I saw the comment there about him getting shot in the sternum, and I think guys are putting those elbows up into him intentionally. It's a bit scary, that, but I think he was just brought off precautionary. So, hey, question without notice, guys. What's that one moment of the game before we move on to the Broncos that will stick with you for the rest of your life? Like, there's always those things when you look back, and I've got a terrible sort of midterm memory where I don't remember half the games that happened this year, but there are certain things this year that I'll never forget. Is there any one little thing that sticks in your mind? I'll go to hold the ball. I reckon he's a pretty agile thinker. What do you reckon is one moment that will stick in your mind forever, brother?
Honestly, look, I think the moment is Sean Johnson's dominance. Sean Johnson winding back the clock, so to speak. That nostalgic sort of feeling. Again, a lot of pressure if you look into last year and how he performed. And there's just a whole heap of unknowns. Some people will even say he might even be dropped from the team, and then Sean Johnson sort of taking all of that and forgetting about it and just showing us the type of player he is. I won't lie, I was actually one of the critics there as well with him. I wasn't sure where he was going to be. I wasn't his biggest fan, to be honest with you, heading into this year. That's just the fact. But then, the fact that he's just, I guess the moment for me is how Sean Johnson has carried this team, and he's just proven to us that, he is the man, he is him, and he's going to take us to glory, baby. Up the Oz.
Yeah, bro. That provider I just saw there, bro. Awesome, man. What's up? How about for you, brother?
Yeah, probably a subtle one, but I remember just walking around the stadium with Rory Hollick, and the sun was beaming down, and there was a vibe around the place. Shout out to everyone that came. Jerseys galore, people in a good vibe, good mood. Even though we lost to the Panthers, everyone was just pumped, and it was like, honestly, I've seen the 95 first game against the Broncos, and I suppose it was something like that a little bit, where the energy was just all positive and just wanted to support the team. And the vibe was insane. And, me and Warrior Holic were just having a good time. And I gave Warrior Holic about 100 hugs when we scored.
Bro, and the guy in front of us, we didn't even know, bro.
He probably got more hugs than his wife's given him in the last 5 years. I was just so pumped, man. And the crowd was honestly just amazing. So it's credit to the boys, obviously. It's credit to everyone involved. But just to feel that energy from a fan's perspective, I'll never experience anything like that again. I don't think. Probably will. We'll have more prelims, hopefully, and all those things. But just to feel that one was very special for me. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. How about you, Ash?
Man, I got two. I can't really nail down to one, but I saw it on Interwebby a little bit on the comment section as well, as where actually he didn't say this one, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, Tohu Harris making a line break, that was a massive one for me. I was just like, Tohu, from what he's been through for this whole year, he always seems to be carrying an injury, that bloke, but just fights for everything. And the second one, this one's the biggest one. That's why I wanted to leave it to last, is SJ's standing ovation. It's going around everywhere and all that. But being a massive Sean Johnson fan, he's my favorite player of all time. I love Darren Lockyer, all that sort of stuff back in the day. But, Sean Johnson is my favorite player of all time. And just seeing him finally getting sort of the raps that I always thought that he should have deserved earlier on in his career for what he was, being a New Zealand halfback and not always getting the same props and that. And a whole lot of injuries really always hampered that bloke to get to his potential. And I always thought he was something special ever since you first saw that, the highlight reel on YouTube. You watched him in, back in Toyota Cup back in the day, under 20s. You just always saw something special with him. And seeing him, walking around and how many lives he's touched, waving to the fans, standing O. But man, it gave me chills. It was brought me back to when I was a kid, in high school, and watching, Sean Johnson highlights and Big Pond's freaking New Zealand highlights and that. So yeah, that was a big one for me.
Mate, that was really odd, because when he came off, he came off basically right in front of us.
Yeah,
the crowd in that corner went fucking nuts, and I'm like, I was looking for the streaker. Because nothing was happening. Plays up there, and I couldn't see it. And it wasn't until he got in front of the south stand, and it's just trying to watch the game and just watch him. It's just, I agree. It was awesome, bro. How about you, Fanatics, man? What's your magic moment you'll never forget?
There's actually quite a few, but I think one that stands out for me was early in the season.
No, it was the game on Saturday night, bro.
Oh, this game?
Yeah.
I'll probably say Oh, that's a tough one. There's been so many. There was so many, so it's hard to name one. But I think the Sean Johnson, Sean Johnson near the end, when he was coming off the field and he was getting a standing ovation. So yeah, I'll probably go with that one because that was just pretty cool moment to see that, with the crowd and that cheering him on when he was coming off the field. So yeah, probably it's that moment there. I'll have to say that moment.
Yeah, I reckon there'll be a lot of people who'll never forget that one. For me, look, it's a personal one. My 50th birthday, bro, at the Warriors. I wasn't even I was sitting there, man, I don't want to have a party. Like, I'm not a party guy. Like, there's a lot of people want to call everyone they can, and like 26.
Is that true? Wise up, bro? Is he not a party guy, or did he drink up there or whatever?
Oh, he's a party man, bro. Yeah. all the girls love him too. All the ladies love him. The guys.
Of course they would, bro. But it's like I wouldn't want a party for me. I don't know. It's not. But to have that, like it was to be part of that is to be the thing for me. And I said to my mates, bro, I'm going to raise that bat when we get that final whistle going and get to sing the song. So like kind of an extension of Wires Up, just that whole experience. And probably within that for me, the thing is the songs that people just started singing and just didn't stop. And I saw Warriors Fans TV with the Marcelo Montoya. We'll get that guy next year. But the one it's kind of an extension of the Manly game. They got the Warriors going, not the Warriors. And I managed to get that going myself, bro.
Sorry, guys, Warriorholic, bro. If you go to Warriorholic, bro, he will start up a chant, no doubt. It's the first time being around someone that's actually started a chant and literally caught the whole east side, bro. I swear, this guy is a man. He's the man, bro.
Yeah, I've always wanted to, like, I had a whole bunch of banter with people online about that, is why don't New Zealand fans sing and get amongst it? Like, so to be the first time in a New Zealand game where people sung as loud as they could, it was just so fucking amazing. And I hope that continues next year. And I'd love to get people like, creating these chances. Some guys, probably about Bay 49, just down from us. There's a group of maybe 20 of them, and they had a whole bunch of, like, they got the John Cena one going. They had the team song going. They had like a little chant for all the guys who scored. So for me, we've got to get that going. And like, mate, back when I was young, I'd used to have to be pissed to enjoy something like that. But I had like literally 4 beers, and I didn't need any more. I was just so amped with the environment, the atmosphere. So I'll never
just
forget
on that. Just on that, my bro, like it gives you that taste of like, when I don't know if you guys are EPL fans or anything like that in a Premier League, like that's the one thing that, like, when you watch a Premier League game, whether you like soccer or not, you always look at it and just go like, the fans are just going mental. They're always singing. They're going crazy. And that was like one of our first big tastes of that in rugby league. You don't get to see that a lot in rugby league, especially in stadiums and that. And even like, I know Fanatics will be able to tell you, like, when we went to the Gold Coast game and we came in numbers and we really just took over that place. And that was the most mental thing, like being a Warriors fan, being a part of. Like, I've been a part of a lot of like big turnouts at Suncorp and stuff like that, and thinking like that's amazing. Like this year's just took a whole nother level, and it's just good to see the boys' success and all that come off the back of that. You know what I mean? So,
mate, I'd love to get to that Gold Coast game next year. But see, like Aaron Woods, like, what the hell is it? What radio station's he on in Sydney there?
Triple M.
He's on Triple M.
Triple M,
yeah.
So anyone listening, bro, if you weren't at the game and you want to appreciate the sound, just go to Triple M's. What do you call it? Where do you see the podcasts?
Do they do it on YouTube, bro? Or?
No, it might be on YouTube. Spotify. That's it. They've got the last 8 minutes of the game, and you can't hear them talking above the crowd, whereas on the TV it was a lot more filtered. And Aaron Wood said, like, I've never ever heard a noise like that in an NRL game. But if you guys have been to Suncorp for State of Origins, it's just like do they sing, or is it just like shouting? Like, I've never heard an NRL singing.
That's the one thing, being a Brizzy boy, and I hate to say it, but I have never been to a Origin game. I've always wanted to, just never got around to it and that. But far, man, like just watching it from the TV, you get the like sense of adrenaline being a Queenslander and all that and that. But like that Warriors thing where everyone's chanting, and tell me any other, like, AFL, they chant the songs and that after every game, being a Brizzy Lions fan and all that, knowing that. But like, tell me another NRL team that sings their team song at a stadium again and again and again after a team win. That's like absolutely mental. And everyone knows it now. That's incredible. Like, that's absolutely incredible.
Mate, I'm going to make it a bit of a mission for next year to just like get a bit of a Facebook group or something going for people who are keen to get them. And, like just things the one I was thinking of the other day is the old swing low. It's like swing wide, sweet Shawnee J. Swing
Yeah,
up the CNK. But I reckon you could get one for all of them. Like, you could get one for all of the players. So, like, mate, I hope that gets people back, and I hope they keep coming back even when we have a couple of losses, because that no one's going to want to come and play in that. Because what was this, the song telling everyone to go home or see you later, whatever that we were singing?
Oh, no. Yeah. That's a good one.
And the nights when you're trying to get back in the game, but everyone's singing like, piss off, you're going home now. All right. So I think it's pretty safe to say we all like had the night of our lives, whether we were there or we weren't. But now it's time to get serious. Let's get our game faces on, ladies and gentlemen. Heading into probably what a lot of people didn't expect. Yeah, a lot of people said we were going out in straight sets, and it was kind of hard to stand up and tell them they didn't know what the hell they were talking about after the sort of the run into the Dolphins game. You kind of tried to dismiss the Dolphins game because it wasn't the top team, and then you dismissed the Panthers because of SJ, but then you worried about SJ. So I didn't have that confidence to sit there and tell them they're full of shit. I was genuinely worried, but after that performance, what I'd like to know, let's start with the Broncos. I want you to tell me like one or two of their key strengths that, makes them a real danger that we have to be careful of. And if you've got something, a little insight, you think, hey, this is something you might be able to exploit here, or something you saw on the weekend when we did deliver that might give you a little bit of confidence about, how we could get on top of them. I might start out with the Bro Fanatics for this one. Are you ready there, my man?
Yeah, yep. So, Brisbane, obviously they've got shoots everywhere. Look at their outside backs. You got Cobbo, Walsh. Yeah, he's the key. Also, I feel like Adam Reynolds, given that he's one of the most experienced players out there. He's been to big games. He's played finals. He's played Origins. So Adam Reynolds, especially, I think his kicking game. He's a big player to watch out for me. And I think just the likes of the four pack, you got Payne Haas and Paddy Carrigan as well. So yeah, for me, it's those players actually. I think just Walsh is definitely the one to watch in the outside backs, but then you got Reynolds and the halves there, and the four pack probably Payne Haas for me and Paddy Carrigan.
What do you reckon, like Fanatics? If you were the Broncos, the one player you wouldn't want to lose, would it be Reynolds or Walsh?
I'm actually going to say Reynolds. Yeah, I think Reynolds. So a lot of people would say Walsh, being that he's a superstar player, and he adds just a real different dynamic to the game. He's very fast, quick. But yeah, it's definitely going to be Adam Reynolds. I think if Adam Reynolds comes off, like his kicking game, especially, you've got Mam there, but I just feel like Adam Reynolds, for me, is probably if you had a bigger loss on the field, if someone came off with an injury and it was Walsh or Reynolds, I think it'd be Reynolds for me. I just feel like this kicking game, especially.
Yeah, but everything about him, he ran that game against the Storms, and they're a pretty solid team. So yeah, I have to agree with that. Hold the ball, brother. What do you got?
Yeah, look, if we're talking about two dangers of the Broncos, I reckon one of them is they're just really fit. They're a very fit team from Peyton Haas to Cobbo to to Reynolds to Walters. They've just really got it in sync, in the engine room there. Another thing about them as well that I think another danger is their spine. Again, it's we've all touched on it. Reynolds, Walters, Mam, and then obviously Walshy. They're just really in sync, and they just know how to dictate the game. They did it perfectly against the Storm there. Now, granted, maybe the Storm were a bit off, but again, just the way they sort of dictate the game there. And yeah, that's just all like my two dangers. Their fitness, and they're just very much on point in terms of attacking and defending.
Anything you reckon you've spotted that we might be able to exploit?
Look, I think for mine, I don't know. I don't know that this may probably be a bit, against the grain, but I reckon for mine, what we can do is just what we do all the time and what we did against the Knights. We they're fast play the ball again. I think I was really good. Egan played that again, getting them on the back foot. Again, they're really fast players, obviously the Broncos, but I think we can sort of exploit that perhaps around the ruck there. So that's probably my sort of key take there.
Yeah, what do you make it of Egan versus Walters, bro? I thought he's really shone this year, but I don't think he quite has that ruck craft. What do you reckon?
No, look, yeah, I agree with you. I think Egan this is probably a game here where we might see Egan pop up and do something really special here, just quietly.
I hope Kevin's not watching there, bro. How about you, my man Ash? Strengths and weaknesses?
Far, man. Like, you could pretty much name most of the Broncos team for strengths and that. I've made a video earlier on this year and I still stick to it. I believe the Broncos are the most talented team in this competition. From if you just pick each player for what they are in each position, you say the Penrith Panthers, but honestly, I think just 1-for-1 players, the Broncos have the most talented team in the competition. It's absolutely incredible. You think about it, they got origin players back, like left, right, and center, international players. Like, everyone is outstanding. Their forward back is definitely something that we need to slow down very early. We need to obviously, limit a lot of their good field position. That's a lot easier said than done. But the Broncos very much have that confidence that they can score from any point on the field. So we want to make them try to do that from longer ends of the field and all that. Make Walshy overplay his hand a little bit more than he does. That's one thing you love about Walshy is he's a very high risk, high reward sort of player. A lot of the times it does come off, and that's a big thing in Walshy's corner. It's a big tick for him. But there is moments like we did against the Knights and times and that. A lot of the Knights, when they turn the ball over, was in really bad field position. That's let us capitalize on all of that sort of stuff. So we need to do very similar things with the Broncos. Again, easier said than done because they're a whole nother step up. But man, like, that's the biggest strength for me, for us and our corner, is obviously just make Walshy make erratic decisions in their own field position. We saw it earlier on with this year with the Broncos, and their strength against us. Oh, man, what can I say? Is their back line is incredible, like incredible. Selwyn Cobbo, Katoni Staggs, Herbie Farnworth, and Jesse Arthurs, or whoever fills in another spot. If it's Corey Oates at times, if it's Dean Mariner at times. Bro, they just talent. So, yeah, that's my honest opinion on it, man. It's really tough to say. My dad's a massive Broncos fan, so I do watch a lot of Broncos games and that. But I give us a massive chance because I feel like our forward pack can match it with those boys. It's just honestly try to shut down their speedy man and Adam Reynolds, because Adam Reynolds' kicking game is what's going to keep the Broncos in this game.
Awesome. My man, wise up. What you got, my bro?
Yeah, all right, for their strengths, it's just their physicality. I know it's overpowering. I've said that they're over physical, over athletic, to the extent that they can make it 20 errors a game and still win a game. You know what I mean? Like, not many teams can do that. So their aggression, their physicality, their speed, everything. But the counter to that is the same thing again. Tohu and Webby talked about they got the right balance of aggression. They got the right balance of everyone doing the right thing at the right time. You can use that against Brisbane. They are erratic. You can get them into these erratic periods. They're very high risk, high reward. So that aggression that they have, you can actually turn it on them if you have a good high completion rate. You hold the ball well. You play, good level of efficiency and all that type of thing. So it might be in terms of, grinding it out, our forwards matching theirs. I think, Haas and Flegler, they're very solid, but they're very up and down. But it's overpowering. It's a really strong up and down, whereas our boys got footwork, using our strengths to kind of counter theirs. And, I think it'll come back a lot to, how long can we get them into a grind out pattern, and can we overpower them eventually with position and position, and then force them into those areas where they use that aggression and it goes the wrong way. And we've seen that with Reece Walsh. A lot of their players, if you actually look at the Storm game, there was a lot of errors. I think what the problem was that the Storm got overly aggressive as well. If you think about Harry Grant got into a scrap early on, like, it was just one of those really tense games. I would try and, for our boys not to get involved in that, because I know they'll try put on shots. They'll try and get the crowd involved. I think just play a level-headedness play, and I think we've got the right squad. After that performance, I've got a lot of courage and conviction that we will win it, but use that well in our favor, and then it's really going to come back to Reynolds and Sean. There's heaps of storylines here if you think about Walsh going up against his old team, Tamati Martin going against the old team as well. Reynolds probably wants to prove a point against Sean. Sean's Dally M. Reynolds probably wants to show him up in a way. So there's just so many storylines here that you can use them if you've got a right mindset. You can use it against them. They're still a young team. We're probably more veteran team than them, if I'm being honest. So just cool, calm heads, and we can get the job done.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting call. Actually, you saw probably the Gold Coast really tried to do that to us, like piss us off and get aggressive, and we got a little bit into it. But I think after that, we've remained pretty calm, and it is that controlled aggression. But it's, for me, I think one of the biggest strengths for them is going to be having the ref. When you've got 50, or maybe you're going to have like 40,000, maybe we've got 10,000 at the ground, you just know that the ref's going to likely lean a little bit their ways. And then when you get those piggyback penalties, if they get them, they'll be able to exploit those really quickly. And that's when, we have maybe, you could easily end up on the reverse of what we got on the weekend there, but they know how to put 5 or 6 back-to-back sets and get 3 tries out of those. So it's about defending that first 20 minutes and frustrating them, because we know Walsh likes to lose his mind if you push his buttons. So if he starts getting frustrated, getting smashed, he'll start getting lippy. But I guess it really, for me, it's 100%. It's Adam Reynolds and Payne Haas. So Payne Haas hasn't come up against Adam Fanor-Blake this season. Everyone's looking to see that. Adam's not a guy who's intimidated by anyone. Payne hasn't paid a guy who's delivered the same kind of footy as he has with the same kind of motor. So let's see how he reacts to that. But Reynolds, he's the key. We've got to find a way to put pressure on him without giving away penalties for being offside. Maybe in certain times you take the hit with the penalties and just put him on his ass. He's as broken as Sean is. He's carrying I think he's got a calf as well, right? And Man's knees like more strapped than Tohu. So it is really, we feel like they're better off because they've had the week off. But I think sometimes when you let your body rest, it starts to seize up a little bit. So for me, I think it's putting the pressure on Reynolds, because he's either their biggest strength or you take him out of the game, and Walsh, piss him off, get him to flip out, do something silly, and we might be all right. So let's flip it on the other side, right? We've kind of sort of touched on a little bit, but coming out of this weekend's game, what are the key aspects of the Warriors that you think the Broncos will struggle with, the things that we did well on the weekend that will potentially be the platform we need to go on and get the win? Hold the ball. Might start off with you, bro.
Yeah, no worries. Look, just the scoreboard alone against the Knights, right? Us winning 40 points to 10. I think defensively, if my sort of thought is, if all else fails, at least you have your defense. And I think the boys can definitely lean hard on that. And again, the likes of Barry, Pompey, Tamati Martin, as well as Up and I sort of discussed before this, those type of plays will stand up to the forefront. Don't worry about that. They will. And I think that's one element of our game that I think will be very good. Again, hopefully it does sort of, come to fruition. But yeah, look, I'm definitely betting on defense to mesh it up with the Broncos. Very good, very powerful attack.
Well, how about you, Ash?
Yeah, I got to leave at the back of that. I'm hoping we run a very, as Wise Up been touching on as well, is try to hold on to the ball, high possession, sort of footy. We have that in our game. We know how to do that. We've done that during the mid part of the season, and it slowly came back into our game in that Knights game as well. Even though errors were a little bit of a problem in that game in some moments as well, we still completed about 80%, so that's pretty good. But honestly, yeah, if we stick to a very good strict game plan to where we can kick the life out of the back line, out of the Broncos. I honestly think Selwyn Cobbo's got a whole lot of errors in his game still, where he can have a really nice drop ball off. If Shawnee can get some really nice kicks in behind him and get him turned around a little bit, sometimes he can be very erratic as well, just like Walshy and stuff. So there's some errors in his game there as well. And then, yeah, it all comes down to Wade Egan. I feel like, as we touched on before, he's that one little one-up that we do have on the Broncos. And I honestly think that our bench unit is a little bit stronger than the Broncos bench unit. And that might be something crazy to say, but I honestly think that Dylan Walker, Ciro, Curran, and just all the boys coming off the bench, like just amazing momentum that we bring off the bench, and having that speed up that ruck and having Wade Egan come out of the ruck, and that just, I feel like that's where we can damage the Broncos a little bit more. So that's my two things, honestly. It's just a strong, strict game plan and beating up the ruck.
Awesome, mate. Just smiling there at the Richard's comment there.
Yeah,
HDB's come back, bro. Yeah, I think that's one of the highlights of the season, bro.
He's back.
Great. He's back, and he's expanding people. He's going all sorts of directions with the AFL and stuff as well. That's awesome to see, bro. Don't keep that talent just for us. What's up? What do you got, bro? What's giving you confidence going into this?
It's going to be the guys far out. I think Sean's going to play a big part. It's going to be the guys stepping up, like we had Berry and Pompey step up, right? I've got a feeling our back row is going to peak, like really step up as well. I think Ford's going to have a big game. I'd love to see Marata work over Capewell a little bit. Capewell's solid. I mean, he's a great player, but you want to try and work that back row over, even Ricky to a little bit. If just got to outwork them. That we have to get some middle dominance. It doesn't have to be for the whole game. I mean, I don't think we're going to keep these guys from scoring, but we have to assert some dominance at some periods. I think the bench is going to be a big point of got to get it right. I'm backing that bench that we had. I've got no issue with it, but there's going to be periods there where we can't lose the middle like we did against the Knights a little bit there. For those windows, because they can just pile on points like. So we've got to be very focused on getting the right amount of energy through the middle and winning parts of the game where you probably want to win time of position and time in the right parts of the field as much as you can. So interesting. Tomorrow's team list will be real good. I don't think we will go away from that team, but just another thing to think about and then stack it up against them. But I honestly think if we can win that forward, but I trust our offense to move them around. Reynolds is I suppose that left side, I think probably get locked up a little bit, if I'm being honest. I think Reynolds is very good at jamming, or he can read the type of play you're going for and can kind of set their edge off. So, but the right side, if you can go hit Mam's side and Capewell a bit, work that side a bit. But I think there'll be opportunities everywhere. We just got to seize the moment, and I think we'll be okay. But yeah, just I think you got to look at the little guys, like might be like a Montoya or a Curran or whoever might be coming off the bench. There'll be parts where they need to step up. Sirenen again. It's the guys that giving the 1%ers that will have a big part in it, I think, because there will be a plan focused on SJ. There'll be a plan to deal with AFB. There'll be a plan in a way to deal with Tohu. But it's if the little men, the guys that aren't in the main focus can step up and play their roles. That's my thoughts anyway. Yeah,
it's interesting. Like you hear that, we're very consistent in what we do, and everyone knows what's coming, but it doesn't mean you can defend it, right?
Yeah,
if it's done properly. Fanatics, my man. Yeah, jump in, bro.
Just quickly, sorry, bro. Just quickly on Ezra Mam and that, like, noticing a lot of his game defensively, he's come so far to where he hits and that sort of stuff, but he defends really well. Always on the inside. I usually see him try to jam in or from the inside. I see a lot of that, like, where we run that 2 decoy play to where we have, like, usually it's Nick Correa or, like, Curran, and then having, like, Barry on the outside. I feel like that's definitely something that can really work in our favor as well, is Mem, like, over prioritizes the inside defender than going outside, especially when he's, like, your new tackling form that he brings in. He's got a really strong inside shoulder, but his outside shoulder has yet to be tested as much in that. So I feel like sometimes he can get himself out of position in those sort of areas as well, even though he's come so far defensively. I feel like that sort of play really does work in our favor. So definitely agree with you there, what's up, bro? But yeah, throw it over.
Cheers, bro. What do you got, Fanatics, my bro?
Yeah, look, just pretty much just what you guys were saying, just in regards to, I think the kicking game definitely is going to be important. The likes of Johnson and Tamari Martin. I think he's only just come back, into the side. He's been out for quite some time due to injury and that. So I feel like he's still trying to find his rhythm in this team at the moment. But yeah, I'll probably say the kicking game for me is important, very important in terms of, just limiting the options that the Broncos have, just keep them down the other end and, just kick very well, chase well, just do all the basics right and, just make sure our completion rates are very high as well, which is very important against Brisbane side because, if you make a lot of mistakes, a team like Brisbane, they can make you pay, especially with the players that they've got. So, yeah, just definitely just all the basics, simple basic stuff. Also, the 4-pack, and, I think the 4-pack is going to be the key for us as well. I think it's going to be massively important. The likes of Adam Fanua-Blake and Mitchell Barnett and the likes of Nia Corey and that to, get on top of the Brisbane pack, especially because, the likes of Carrigan and Haas and that. So, yeah, just pretty much that. I feel like the 4-pack and just the kicking game especially is really important. Just applying that pressure to the Broncos and make sure they, make them force some errors, just make them do something that's uncharacteristic that they've never done this year. Just make them make mistakes and, apply that pressure to them.
Yeah, mate. A couple of points is I don't know what the stories with Jazz. They never really mentioned it. And they said there were no injury issues, but he did something to his upper, like around his hip or his thigh. And I think that's why he only played the 19 minutes, which kind of messed up our rotation a little bit there. So I hope he's okay, and I hope Niakota's okay with that knee. Yeah. Because looking at the numbers when you compare our team versus their team, we've got more meters, we've got more post-contact meters. Our defense is pretty much, I think, across the board, we're slightly better in probably 60% of the positions in our tackle efficiency. So they've got issues, but I think they haven't really been tested. I think us going through those 4 or 5 games where we had to fight right down to the last minute. They haven't had really any of those of recent times. They've pretty much dominated a lot of their games. So I think that comes into our favour. But I think it's just if we can get that, match them in the forwards, that we can get field position and we're happy to grind it out. I think we're similar to Penrith in that way, whereas they're just constantly looking to want to try. And I think that it's the year as we only had 10 in the weekend. We've been up around the 14, 15. We dropped that down to 8. We had 82% completion rate. We get that up into the high 80s. Like we've completed at 90% at some stages this year. And if we can frustrate them there, we know that we don't really have those guys who have like that, the emotional highs and lows that will lose the plots. We know Selwyn Cobbo's got a bad game, and we know Reece Walsh has got an emotional game in him. So try and exploit those. Don't get into the nitty. They'll try and wind us up and get into like what the Gold Coast said. We just got to stick to our game and just let them do whatever they want. For me, I think that's it. It's just get really simple and boring. And that's what I told who was it who said that? Gallen, right? Warriors game's boring. That's why it's so good. Don't go away from it. And I think that's what we made the mistake in recent times is up until that second half, I think we tried to create a little bit too quickly, a little bit too much, pushing those silly passes, trying to catch a game and do it as individuals. But when we actually just put that game plan, that second half together, we prove we can do it. Look, am I going to go in there and say, I think, we're going to kick their ass? No, I think we can beat them. We play 100%. They play 100%. It's a lottery. They've got probably more X factor than us across the board, but our defense cancels that. They're slightly off. We could do them. We're off. They'll kill us as well. So I wouldn't go putting anybody's left nut on it that I liked. Either way. So what I'd like to quickly do, maybe if you guys are still okay for time, is we've just had a big banter, and I can't see how many people have still got there, but I'm seeing a few comments. If anyone who's out there watching would like to hit anyone up with a comment, with a question for the panel or anyone in particular, it'd be great to get a couple of you people who are out there. How many people we got watching? Can you see there, Fanatics?
We had around about 40 at one stage. We got 34 viewers at the moment. So
awesome. So hit us up there. But you guys have been like it's it's an odd thing when you used to be the main person talking the time. If anyone's got that little comment they heard that I've been burning to share throughout the night, jump on until the questions come in.
More
Anyone got
party
anything?
questions on Warriorholic. How was his party after that? 50th.
Mate, literally, I went back to my hotel. I was so emotionally shattered and watched the game again. I've watched it three times.
I dropped him off at the hotel and then I saw him leave straight away.
Yeah, obvious. Late
He got
nights.
over somewhere now.
Bro, these questions, like, how can we slow them down?
Can't keep up with them.
Bro,
Yeah.
let me just escape from that. Is it,
I'm not going to Skunk Corp, guys. I don't know. I think Ash is going. Who else?
Yeah, I'm going to Suncorp this weekend. I'm keen for that.
Yeah.
And that actually going to Suncorp.
Yeah, I'll
everyone
be
keeps
there.
asking me. Everyone keeps asking me. I'd love to. We just, like, a couple of other questions flashed. Can you see them there on your system there? What do we got there? Bunty done for the season. I think that's an interesting question, you guys. If Jazz doesn't come up right, I assume he would, but do you think Bunty gets a go this week off the bench?
Yeah, I think so. I think what's Broncos bench? Is it Pia Kuda and a few other ones? I just want to you kind of just want to match their physicality a bit.
So we had Smoothie.
Yeah.
Smoothie. Pia
He's good.
Korda,
He's good.
Hetherington, and Palacia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to match a bit of their physicality. They are big boppers, those guys. Yeah, interesting. I would probably put Bunty in there. Look, he's played finals footy. I know he's been out for maybe the last 2 weeks, but you want someone with just a good head on them. I know Ali would be a nice one at this stage, but he's just still young in my eyes. Because we're not asking this guy to come in and change and play a massive game. We're asking Bunty, can you be solid for 20 minutes? No knock-ons, no forward passes, no missed tackles. We just want you to, and we've talked about it, all of us probably about Webby just giving these small micro responsibilities. So he's probably the best person to bring in my eyes.
Yeah.
Question there for you was up. Do you see any tweaks to our game plans given the Broncos' speed this weekend?
Yeah, far out. That's a tough one. Speed, it's hard to. It's just really. I reckon it's going to be field position. Like I reckon Reece Walsh will get to his spots. Tamaiti and especially that channel Pompey. Like I really do think we've got to be so onto it. The Montoya and Dallin are going to have massive games. They're going to have to make so many decisions because Reynolds has got that kicking in behind. We've been caught out with kicks behind. Remember the Rabbitohs game? Even though it was wet, still, repeat pressure. Chance works so hard in the middle that, sometimes he's not able to get out there in time. So Montoya and Dallin are on an island. So we've just got to be really sharp about how we deal with those guys, especially when they go wide. But that's really what I think.
Question there about whether this game decides the coach of the year. I think this is really tough. And I think initially a lot of people said Webby was a sure, but you've got to recognise, one, what Ivan's done, losing players again, continuing to win minor premierships, and you've got Kevy coming back from what happened last year. You've got Adam O'Brien with that run he had in. I'd love Webby to get it, but I don't think it decides this. I think it's all predetermined, guys. What have we got there? Yeah, hopefully Adam Reynolds doesn't repay SJ. No, we don't want that. Adam Reynolds.
2010. That's holding on to something,
Jesus.
Look,
That's a great game to rewatch that one.
yeah. I wish the grand final would be at home if we did win this week. Man, I hope. What do you reckon if we win this week? We hope that the Storms win because I prefer to play them after 3 tough games in a row. Ash and Fanatics, can you buy 2 tickets for them for the game?
Nah, they're going out way quick, bro. I struggle to get mine.
There's heaps here, bro. Like they're open.
Just go to the Lord Alfred, man. Hang out at the Lord Alfred and just stay while everyone goes.
Hey, I don't know what you guys think I do on a living, bro, but it ain't that. Like windows and doors, bro. They don't pay that well.
But I wonder if they open up Mount Smart on the weekend. That'd be good. And
that would be
good if they did it the cake then for us. What do we got there? Slick moves earlier in the season. I think that I don't think we try too many flash new moves, to be honest. I think probably one thing we may see is Tamati Martin sort of following up on Fanatics comment. I felt like his fitness was right up there on the weekend. And I think we saw Montoya score that try there. We saw SJ actually coming across to the left-hand side and combining him. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more action from our left-hand side where they'll be pretty much focused on our right-hand side there.
Can I just jump in there? There might be some moments for Tamaiti. I think Kotoni and that will like to jam. They will like to be quick. There might be cutouts there. The 3-on-2. There might be short balls. I know he dropped forward underneath a lot, which I was like, okay, maybe playing it safe. He did make a few mistakes, so I suppose I don't think they'll impact his confidence. But you want to see him work a short side if it's on, and get Cobo and Stags because they are aggressive. They are aggressive type of players. If you can get them to bite on certain things, I think there's opportunities there. Not to say that he will, but you'd hope so. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of questions there. Like, first one is RTS. Is he a lock at centre next year? Given he hasn't played a lot of footy this year.
It's a tough one, eh? It's a tough one, man. Like I knew this question was going to come up sometime soon now, especially for how good our centre's been playing lately. When you get someone as classy as RTS and that has a Dalian medal, I know he's been out of the game for a little while now, and I understand that. But people of this talent and this he's got the experience. He's won a grand final before. We have to fit him in. We have to figure out a way to fit him in. And unfortunately, I feel like it is going to be a detriment to either a Berry or a Pompey. I'm thinking more so Berry because Pompey is more of that left side dominant centre as we've been seeing lately, where RTS, I feel like he's going to be more right side, judging on his early career with the Roosters. He preferred the right side wing. Even though he played fullback, he was swaying either way. He's more of a right side look. Actually, I think towards the end of his tenure when he brought Reece in, he was playing a lot of left wing. So maybe I could be a little bit off there as well. So I'm not too sure, man, but I'm thinking he's got to come in. I've seen him play a lot more right side than anything, and he's got that lethal left foot step. So I like that a lot more on that right side centre. And I think he's got to get that right side, man. And unfortunately,
it's so hard to pick.
He'll be the 14th man. He'll be the 14th man.
Well, I mean, right?
It's tough, man.
You could look at him on the wing or whatever, but I mean, Chans went. I feel sorry for Tuopicky because when you've got Chans has gone down for a few games this year, that's probably going to go for RTS there. But it's very tough for me emotionally, guys, to think about how you take this, and it's maybe an extension of that, how you take this team to the next level, because I've appreciated so much everything that every player has contributed this year, and you don't want to think, he should probably move on, or we need to upgrade him. And we talk about we need a second prop at whose expense, right? So when you sit back and you think they're clearly going to play Harris DeVita somewhere. This is purely speculation that I've heard rumors that Volkman might be on the outer, hence he didn't play there, which is a massive shame. But even if he doesn't, how do you fit all of these guys in, and are they patient enough? Because we could win the grand final and cup next year. And that kind of links to that question there, who from cup steps up next season? I think Harley Lauatau is probably the one that sort of stands out for me.
I like Halasima. I really like Halasima. I don't think he's going to step up yet because Jacko Ford and all that in that position. Got a lot of potential, that kid. I love Stowers Smith. There's something about Stowers Smith. I've been watching him a lot in cup. As I've been saying, he gives me Charlie Gut vibes, but maybe just a little bit more. He's got a little bit more something with him. He hits real hard. Obviously, Big Zion's a big one as well. But a lot of these guys is as you said, Warrior Holic, it's really tough when you've seen the season. We've rode the season with the boys to really see someone drop out for fit someone in. It's really, really tough where they've all performed to a really, really top level to be top 4 this year. So tough.
Yeah. I feel like he's a little bit like Bullymore from Manly. Stowers Smith, similar stature, speed. Like Jacko, mate, I'm sorry I can't explain. I'm a big Volkman fan. I really think that he's our long-term solution at halfback. Watching the way he dominated in Cup this year, he can't be the player of the year and not have the potential at least to be a reasonably average half. But like I said, it was just a rumor. I heard from someone who does have some relatively good mail, and it seemed odd that he didn't play. Who knows? Yeah, I think what gives me hope, I don't know you guys, how much you guys saw of the SG Ball and of the Cup this year, that they all seem to be playing in Webby's system really well. They're all really fit. They're able to get in grinds, but there's some outstanding talent there. Particularly, I think there's so much depth in the centres. I think there's a couple of good, the back rowers. I think the things that concern me, I guess, across all three teams is genuine pace on the wings. I think after Kossi, maybe Setu 2 could probably do a job, but really light the world up. And
or Gusatino and that, not really the speed, more of a tackle breaking.
Yeah, big guys there. Yeah, I don't know, mate. If you had to pick one position we'd go to recruit on, what would you say? Bring experience.
Really tough.
Like, I'm not saying a person you move on, but a position that we need to strengthen for next season that maybe we don't have covered in Cup or in the current squad.
It would have to be another big forward with ads, but there is a balance to our team at the moment that there's not a lot of other teams in the competition that have a two-headed monster in a forward pack position. Like a Payne Haas is backed up with a Paddy Carrigan. That's your third team. We got Tohu there to back him up as well. There's no two-headed monster big front rollers. You could say Moses Leota and Fisher Harris, but they're honestly, I keep saying, they're a very systematic front row unit. I'd say Leota defensively is absolutely amazing, and Fisher Harris is aggressively really, really good. But there's no, you get that dream team vibe of you want to have Adden backed up with someone that can match Adden when he comes off the field. But then we give a second look when we have Dylan Walker come onto the field. So, but I would say that would be someone we need, a good, strong front rower. It's tough though. I feel like Mitch Barnett is that. I love Mitch Barnett so much. I love his aggression, what he brings to our forward pack. He brings Adam with him with that aggression. So yeah, tough. But front row would be the only thing I really can just nail down and look at, to be honest.
Can I
jump in, bro?
Do you think that we can? I'm knocking on wood here, but do you think there will be a major injury next year? We've been, I'm talking AFB, potentially Sean, Egan for a long period of time. I think that's why we do need to recruit really another prop. Yeah, these guys have been working so hard. Tohu, I'm not sure how much longer he can really play at this level. We'll find out, but those are some of the questions. The good thing about CHT coming back is that he offers a lot. Webby will find a spot for him. He'll be in the 17 at some stage if it's a Sirenen role, because he's got a kicking game. He's got a left foot. He's got skills that once Webby gets a hold of him and can get it into a system and structure, he'll add a massive amount. But you got to say that you're one step away from. Look, bro, we were nearly in tears here. We were praying for SJ to come back. Man, we're on the edge here. If AFB goes down, there's just so many things that you got to try and shore them up, because these players can't play yet. Well, I'm knock on wood, but I'm just thinking, worst case scenario, these guys can't play at this level for this amount of time over 2 seasons or 3 seasons, whatever, without some form of time off the field. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah. And I think it's a backup for SJ and a backup for AFB are the two things that I think Tohu, you lose a lot, but you've got guys who can play a different role there. But if you lose either of those two at the moment, and I've seen one guy I think would be great, but I see they're letting Kepi go from Manly. I thought, man, Sipley, he's come a long way this year, playing that starting role that you probably pick up cheap. But Sipley is another guy. But again, none of them, interestingly, Mitch Barnett has higher running meters than any other prop that we've come up against in the past 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And he's not even really a prop. So I think that sticks to Webby's game of playing those fast across the game, high impact guys. And AFB, the only guy who matches him really for numbers is Pass. So I don't know. Anything from you, hold the ball there? Any players or positions you think we might have to look at?
Yeah, look, just to sort of go off the prop thing, I reckon even Luke Thompson from the Doggies might be a good little get there if he was
Yeah, that might be.
available. I think he's
Yeah,
off contract this year. I think. Get him a treat price. Again, he's a Pom as well, so he's got that Pommy thing about him, a bit of aggression as well. So I wouldn't mind a bit of that. But or if anyone, I reckon even Fotuika as well from the Titans. If we could get him, I'll definitely get him as well off the bench. So.
Bro, he's good. His numbers are actually
He's calm.
really surprisingly good. Fanatics, anyone you reckon, or any position you'd target to try and strengthen us up a bit there?
It's just pretty much what a lot of people have been saying in the chat in regards to a forward. Yeah, I just feel like we need another forward in the side, just a forward. Yeah, like just some bit of depth that we need, like because we've got AFB in that, and Mitch Barnett and the likes. But yeah, I just feel like a forward. I don't know anyone in particular that I'd target right now. Just I haven't got anyone in my mind, but yeah, definitely a forward. I'd say yeah.
I wonder if you could beef Jackson Ford up enough to play prop. He's actually not that tall, but I mean, the reason I say that is we've got so much depth in the back row. Like Kalani Going could step up in there and do a very similar job. We've got Curran and you've got him there. You've got Sifakula when he comes back. He really stood up.
Sifakula might be like legit. We looked at him, man. He's massive, He's like a tall dude. Like you can see him in that toy roll in like 4 or 5 years' time or something.
I love Zion Mayo. I think he's going to be a massive. Like he's good. By the time AFB sort of getting in a little bit slowing down, I think Zion Mayo comes in. His speed and his step is just phenomenal, but I just feel like you don't want to blow him too early. So I feel like, is there one of the back rows that you could build up, Another question that I sort of popped into my mind and someone said, no, we need on the wing is like, Ed Cossey is probably the biggest guy in our club. Could he make a move to the forwards, bro? Imagine him with a few extra kgs there if he had.
You guys remember when they were trying to move money to the back row or something?
Oh, bro.
It was that one
like a Jaden Ognaball type look. Yeah. One of those ones.
Oh, they just brought memories of Cossey's massive.
Corey Oates got it.
Yeah. But no, what's his name from Manly did it, right? Tony something or other. What was his name?
Tony Williams, Big T Rex.
Yeah.
Tony Williams.
I don't know, but it's just random things here because I feel like Webby does want to promote from within, but I think everyone would agree an experienced forward. But it's just really, I hope we have patience because you've got depth. But that, I saw someone there commenting Ali could get poached. I mean, he's only 18 years old, man. And we just saw how much the work he did. Who did we play the other week against? Was it Souths? One of the games there that we played. He was just involved on both sides of the field. He reminded me a lot of like a Latrell kind of player that I think he offers so much X factor, but you very rarely see a centre come in and dominate straight away at such a young age.
Yeah.
You see even Selwyn Cobbo, for example, like he's got so much talent, but they're not throwing him into the centre straight away. It's
Well, I think, man. Oh, sorry.
No, you're right, bro. You go first.
I think there will be a couple off-season signings. I mean, the thing is, I'm thinking what they're trying to do with RTS CHT. They're trying to get us over that next 2-year window because we've just started our development programs. We've got some amazing talent. We met a guy on security there. He's playing Jersey Flag or one of the Herald Mets. So, but it was there's the likes of Bishop Neem. He's a guy that plays for St. Thomas of Canterbury. He's 4 or 5 years away, but mate, if we can hold him, he's like a Nas. He's like another Nas size wise. So I think the idea is
to Griffin Neem.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Bishop Neem, yeah, we've signed him to our HG Ball or Harold Mets. I can't remember, but I suppose we'll get a better view of it over the next 2 or 3 years of who's going to progress up. But you're kind of getting RTS, CHT, and like we were talking about, getting a few more to get us over that little period, because there's going to be a little bit of a period over 24, 25, 26 probably, where we're going to be a little bit short and our development might not be there. So we've got to recruit well, but it's right there. It's just building,
Yeah.
I mean, Sammy Hewitt said it, like he reckons that next year is the kind of end of our initial window because SJ and Tohu are likely to retire. And I think it's pretty, I don't think you go straight into being as competitive if SJ drops out and you're trying to develop another half. So if you don't go and recruit an experienced guy like they did with Reynolds, it's a fairly accurate call, I reckon. So we might see that peak next year, and we might have that little drop off where we. So I feel like we're just going to continue to progress like the Panthers, but we've got to be ready for a little bit of a. What do we got there? Man, I'm terrible at reading these things.
Anyone know Corey Hall?
No, who's he?
No.
I haven't
Who's
heard
that,
of
bro?
him.
I haven't heard of him,
Maybe an
Dom.
Super League
Any
player.
insight into who's coming in to take over from in the assistant coach next year? Is it going to be Webby's brother?
Yeah, I thought it was James Webster. What I heard, but I don't know if that's legit.
Yeah, I think they were trying him out, but there was some other mention of one of the guys on the Bulldogs coaching panel there for a minute.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
No, it's
Not Serraldo, is it?
yeah, bro.
Love that.
Gussie will sack him and we'll take him.
Yeah.
Come here, my son. Webby's
well,
like, come on,
it's
son. Come back,
Panthers.
son.
Panthers
Well,
2.0.
Yeah, bro, that's Gus, bro. Someone asking the final there of the schools. You saw that, didn't you? Was up?
Yeah, the finals of the schools. A lot of those boys are signed from St. Thomas. They're signed to the. I don't know I keep forgetting the names for each age group, but it's Harold Metz or Jersey Fleet.
Harold Metz is the 16s, bro.
Probably one of the
Yeah.
And there's some talent there. Like I said, this kid Bishop name stood out to me, but there was a few others. If you get a chance to watch it, some amazing talent coming through, and there a lot of them are signed to the Warriors. But obviously, there's all the recruits at those games, like the Roosters and all that will pick up heaps. But I think they're going to get it right. I think with the Cappy's getting it right. That group, like we've talked about, Cappy, Webby, and Robbo and George. Those guys are doing a good job. So I think they'll get it right. But they are building something here. Yeah.
Jack, I think the difference we've got to realise is that a lot of the guys from the Cowboys played in that World Cup over the off season, and that would have really fatigued them. And we know what the type of preseason that they did up at the Cowboys, which I think you can only do to a couple of times. I think it gets a little bit old. And what I found really interesting is Ed Cossey's comment, when he said our preseason was the most fun preseason he's ever had, but he came out fitter than he's ever been in his life. Whereas I think, what's his name up in North Queensland's a bit of a hard taskmaster.
Peyton,
and he's a bit of a I don't think I have that same fear that we'll do a Cowboys. As long as we don't get too many guys in the Kiwis.
Hey, what do you guys think about who will be like the Jackson Ford next year? Like, when Jackson Ford, we didn't know who he was, and he won that spot over Curran, a lot of us. But who do you think maybe from within the development wins a spot? Do you think anyone can win a spot, a bench spot, or?
It may come down to an injury, right, that gives someone a chance. Like a guy like Paul Roach, for example, say Egan got injured and Lussick happened to be injured at the same time. Maybe he comes in and stakes a claim. Kalani going, I think, give him a few games in a row, he could be big. I think Sifakula. He surprised me. Like, you guys remember after the Tigers game, and everyone's going, Jacob Laban and Zion Mayu are amazing. In the interview, they said that to him, and he goes, yeah, they're okay, but Sifakula, he was outstanding. And we're like, what? And then they signed, promoted him to the 30. And then when he played against the Panthers, it was like, yeah. But then when I watched him go back to Cup, he was just he was a level above. He's must have put on 5 kg as well. I think he's going to be a massive player, probably a 13 going forward.
Maybe that could be a little bit of a niche where he finds himself in. Obviously, we'll talk about injuries and that, and how long Tohu can maybe go with it and that. Dylan Walker will probably have to fill in a position a little bit so often, but maybe there is a time where Sifakula finds himself on the bench and finds a little bit more time going. Going's got a little bit going for him, obviously. There's a lot to it, man.
So when you lose Tohu, you lose that prop that he just doesn't miss a beat to go into that prop rotation. So it really means you only need the 3 props, genuine big props, whereas a lot of others carry 4, if not 5, right? So I think that's one thing we lose with Tohu is his ability to go into prop and hold that middle and play 80 minutes.
And if we lose Ciro next year, there's another bench spot there, whether Bunty comes back onto the bench there, whoever fills in there. Tommy Ale might step up again and try to get a bit more season under his legs and stuff and see how he comes through. But just a talent, like it feels so good to be a Warriors fan. And like, you know, after all of the years that we've had during COVID, where it's just bashed our developments to like nothing. And then everyone would think that we had to take another 3 years to rebuild to get all the systems up. It's been an absolute miracle for us to actually get our systems up and doing as well as we can right now, especially when you're seeing the talent that's coming through. Like our team that we ran out there, New South Wales Cup, has been hampered for injury for a lot of that season. But there's just some people that just have their standout games each and every week. Like Volkman's been killing that league all year. Sucks to hear that Volkman might be on the outer. Like, I'll talk to the Mrs. Cousin and that reach out to him, and I'll tell him to stay in that. So we'll see what we can do. But
what did you guys make of Farr? I thought he was I felt like he's a bit of a journeyman, but at the beginning, but by the end of the season, I quite liked him. I think he's got a bit of potential in him.
He's far and away the best. No.
Not smart. Second best, like our man.
Second best.
Bradman's second best.
Oh. It's good to see people like James Gavay and all that around the club as well in the New South Wales Cup. A little bit of experience to give around to the boys as well. And hopefully we get a little bit more of those boys around the club as well. And Adam Blair, obviously, and those boys will develop really, really well in time. So yeah,
I think that's a good point. Is like I'd like to see us maybe look at getting a couple of like genuine hardcore Warriors who've maybe gone overseas and then like come back for that Gavitt kind of role to develop these young players, because I guess Kalani Going's an interesting one. He's like 27, right? So he's not a young guy, and he seems to have a lot of mana in there. But again, he hasn't been through those through the grind of NRL, and I think that's where you need those guys who have been there and have played 3 or 4 seasons, maybe even 100 games, to get those guys to understand how to prepare.
Yeah, exactly.
Alrighty, anything for you? Sitting there like hold the ball, and fanatics are like, listen to the three of us go backwards and forwards, guys. Jump in, or you'll never get me to shut up. Anything from you fellas up there to add on to the future of the club and how it might pan out over the next couple of years?
Look, probably not as in depth today. I'm not gonna lie. Sorry, lads, I'm just a little bit tired. But in saying that,
that's all good, brother.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to RTS coming back, CHT and all that stuff there. But in saying that, I'm ready for the Broncos. I will say though, Ash, I would love to be a fly on the wall. So like when you and your old man watch the game.
Oh, bro. So like, because I bought my own house and that, bro. Bro, he gives me a call. So, like, whenever the Warriors lose, I'm so happy that the Warriors are having a great season this season. I don't get too many of those phone calls, but he'd just get the phone call and be like, especially when the Broncos are doing well, and he's like, you want to be a Broncos fan? I'm like, nah, bro, all good spot. But it's good, man. I love that man to death. And honestly, if a couple of things didn't go the way that it went during my life and that, I probably would be a Broncos fan right now. But I'm so happy that things went the way it did, because I got to touch the community and be a part of community like you guys and stuff. And it's
how
mental,
did you end
bro.
up on the wagon, bro?
Bro, honestly, I've told a story a little while ago. And so when I was younger, I was a massive fan of Darren Lockyer. Just honestly, it wasn't even me just being a Broncos fan or anything like that. Darren Lockyer was just like my idol. And all the way up till he pretty much left the sport. I love Stacey Jones. I used to watch the Warriors because half my family hates the Broncos because of the Super League shit and all that sort of stuff. And then half of them love the Broncos. So it's like that. And then obviously some of our better games, like watching the Warriors games, was against the Broncos. And obviously the one that always sticks to my head is I was only a really young boy, but for some reason it sticks in my head is Kevin Cambion punching on with Shane Webke. It's stuck in with like Stacey Jones, but being an Aussie boy and like watching Channel 9 and that, they don't play a lot of Warriors games all the time. So usually it'd have to be in highlights packages and internet and all that sort of stuff. A little bit later on, I got into it, but Sean Johnson, honestly, when I found the highlights of Sean Johnson, I watched him all the way through 20s. And it pretty much just made me a Warriors fan through and through. So yeah, that was pretty much where I full on jumped on the bandwagon in a way. Sean Johnson was like, just God tier for me, but yeah, that's the way I went, really. It's a weird story. I got no New Zealand in me, and my missus half Samoan, if you want me to claim it that way. But and obviously her cousin Avania Polite played in the NRLW team when that first came in. So that was maybe that's another way I can be like, hey, I'm a Warriors fan through and through, but that's the way I got here.
That's random, mate. Well, I met Kevin Campion for the first time in the weekend, man. What a gentleman. Absolute gentleman. Oh, he's so
But one of the hardest blokes back in the day.
We were saying that he's not that big. Like, you know, if he was from behind, I think, like, oh, tackle him, no worries. But then he turns around, he's just got that look on his face. He's like that real weathered face. Like, you think, oh, no. I wouldn't.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
All right, boys. I think my brain probably needs to shut down a bit now because I've been working these like 12, 13-hour days and getting into this bad habit of sleeping 6 hours, and it doesn't work. And I can see how the ball's like getting some heavy eyes, even though it's only like 5 in the afternoon over there. Thank you all for jumping on, and for everyone who jumped on and asked the questions. Like I said, sorry I didn't get to them all, but I hope you enjoyed it. We'll try and make this happen a little bit more often. We've often talked with some of the other boys to getting this the Watang clan together. Maybe setting up a channel next year that you know, maybe once a week we just get random collabs going on there just for a little bit of an extra flavor. But also, like, you know, I'm always keen to cross-populate my followers onto your guys so they get the variety, because they don't get a lot here, particularly in New Zealand. Sky's complete. The average.
Yeah.
Be careful. Actually, we never know who's watching. They might offer us a job one day.
Let me know, bro. I'll fly with New Zealand all day.
But you know, like, I think they're a little bit vanilla, and I think, you know, having the passion of fans and creators, like, improving their craft, and I think it's been good for me, like my first year, to see little things that you guys have all brought to it, and everyone's got their own little strength. So it's been great to get it together. I hope the fans appreciated it. You know, bang some thoughts in the comments here if and what you'd like to see maybe from us again. But I quite like that name, the Watang Clan, that came up in the.
I love
that. Got the dub. So yeah, maybe we'll get together again and do a bit of a post-season review in 2 weeks after we win the grand final and we're finally off that high.
Manifest.
Oh, just believe it, bro.
Yeah.
Alrighty, thanks everyone so much. It's been a pleasure. It's nice to meet Hold the Ball and Ash for the first time, and a pleasure being back on the Fanatics here. Hope it's not too long before we do it again. And by the way, Waz Up and I will be Insta Live on his channel from 9 o'clock tomorrow night, doing a bit of a team naming Tuesday thing. So jump on, and he'll be reading the comments tomorrow, so you'll be able to get a little bit more interaction. Right, Fano, up the Waz. Let's go.
Up the Waz.
Up the Waz. You
Go the Mighty Warriors.
See ya.